All right, guys, what's going on? What is going on? Welcome to the live stream. And here we are. It's Brother G. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Well, man, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to my channel, man. It's just such an honor, with you being here. Just being able to give your testimony and just being able to just the Lord just just putting His Holy Spirit upon you, man, and to just allow you to just allowing you to be such a blessing to this channel, and I just want to thank you, man, for coming on. I really want to thank you for coming on.
Now, thanks for having me. It's
yeah.
Believe me, it's an honor for me to come on and just to share my testimony, and it's humbling to be a part of the greater body of Christ.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was I remember I think you were in one of my live streams, and I went to your channel and I was like, oh, okay. I said, I think I remember this guy. Now, I have a question. What was I going to ask? I can't remember what I was going to ask you just now. But yeah, so basically we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm seeing people they're joining the chat right now. They're joining in the chat room, and I'm seeing the numbers starting to go up on the live stream. And basically, I'm going to just ask you a few basic questions. How you got into the whole Hebrew Israelite movement. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. Are you the same guy who did a dialogue with Faithful to God maybe about a year ago? Australian? Because I remember him talking to a guy who was from Australia. And this guy was in a Hebrew Israelite camp.
Yeah, that would have been me.
Really? You said it wouldn't be you?
It would have been. It would have been me. It would have been.
Really? Okay. Because I was thinking about that. I said, because I remember that he did a live stream, and I was listening to it one time, and I was talking to this guy from Australia, and this is the first time that I had actually heard about. And actually, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to ask you that question. Now, for a lot of people who don't know, like where you're from and all of that stuff, can you just go ahead and just let them know, pretty quickly?
Yeah, no worries. My name's George. I used to be, I live here in Australia, born in New Zealand.
Okay.
I'm of Polynesian descent. I am mixed with European as well, but I don't know anything about that side, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm 38 years old.
Okay. We're about the same age. I'm like a year younger.
Yeah, I'm 38 years old. And I used to be one of the camp leaders for the Gathering of Christ Church for about 4 years. So,
okay. Now here's the thing, and you're currently in Australia now, right?
Yep.
So what is it like? The afternoon time? Maybe like 12 p.m.
It's lunchtime. Yeah, 12 o'clock.
Lunchtime. Okay. Well, I'm hoping I'm not holding you up from work.
No, I have a rusted day off today, so.
Okay. Yeah. Now, to be honest, the first time I ever heard about the Hebrew or there being any sort of influence, Hebrew Israelite influence in Australia, is when I heard Faithful to God talk to you, apparently in his live stream. And because there was a guy who was currently in the camp at the time. So I don't know if that was you. He was currently an active member in the Hebrew Israelite community, and they were having a dialogue. And it was a guy who was from Australia that he was talking to. So I don't know if that was you or not.
It would have been me. Unless you can. Is Faithful available? He can come on and see.
I don't know.
If he's spoken to any other Hebrew Israelites, so-called, in Australia, but I don't think so. I think it's just me and him.
Okay. Okay. So now, For a lot of people, I'm guessing, especially like myself, I'm very curious to hear this. How big is the Hebrew Israelite movement over in Australia?
No, it's no one's heard of it.
Really?
No, no one's heard of it. No.
Okay, okay.
Very, 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 very. It's a very what you would call, like, I wouldn't even. No one's heard of it. Like,
Okay,
especially
so
speak amongst Christians, they never heard of it. It's
okay,
very rare. Very rare
okay.
that. Yeah.
Because here in America we will use a term like underground, so it's kind of like something that is like very rare, kind of at a grassroots stage to where there's only just a few people that know about it. So because I know I watched your video, I think Vocab Malone posted it. It was like a 25-30 minute video of your testimony, and and I saw some guys out there, from your particular camp. Um, and they had some video and stuff. And what particular camp were you a part of for the people?
The GOCC, Gathering of Christ Church.
Okay, so yeah, so GOCC, and it's crazy how you think about these camps and you think about this whole movement and how it is reached from here all the way to Australia. So I just I'm just like in total shock right now, and to actually be talking to someone who was actually the camp leader, you know. And I'm pretty sure what people want to know is, how did you get started? Like what drew you to the Hebrew Israelite movement in the first place?
Well, my first encounter with them was when I was obviously I started believing in Christ, Jesus. I started believing in the Bible. I was very skeptical. I was an atheist for a long time, and certain circumstances started to happen in my life where I started to question things, and why the world is the way it is, and things like that. And you start looking at the Illuminati and New World Order, and all that fear mongering, Alex Jones, and yeah, they started linking a lot of stuff with the Bible, and also for myself, I know I needed to change the way I was living, and then once I started to realize, like spirituality, I started looking into different spiritual. Did you have to go for it? I don't know what happened there.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I was kind of highlighting you. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, you might see me do that, periodically. Because right now I am in my room. I had a separate room where I was doing my live streams, but that room is being occupied now, so I had to kind of move my whole setup downstairs. So, so I might have my wife and my children kind of running in and out. But just now I had I had to take a sip of water, so I was just like, well, let me go ahead and just kind of have you highlighted on the screen. So I might do it periodically. Yeah, but you know what? It's crazy because it's like, once when I was younger, and what made me started getting like more interested about faith and religion, if you want to say that, was I kind of had the same experience where I was into the whole conspiracy theory thing, and looking at the back of the dollar bill and the pyramid with the eye and all of that stuff, and then mark of the beast, and then you decode the dollar bill, and they got a 6 over here, the 6 over there, and this and that. I understand exactly where you were coming from. But go ahead and continue. So you were kind of leading up to the point where you were saying, how did you get into the into the camp? Yeah, but go ahead.
Well, yeah. When you start to look into history, there's no denying that ever since mankind. Can you hear my kids screaming? I'm about to tell them off.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. It's okay, because I mean, I'm just glad that mine aren't doing the same thing right now.
Boys, be quiet, please. Sorry, so professional here.
Nah, it's all good, man. Nah, I mean, listen, we're all part of the body. I mean, like this is just, we all got lives here. This isn't like, MSNBC or something like that or
Yeah,
some
that's right.
big news station. So, just let it flow, brother.
Yeah, so yeah, just once I got realized, what, the Jesus is real, and
Mhm.
and God, like, just with the evidence, the archaeological evidence, all that other stuff. I started to believe, and I was like,
Okay.
yes. And then, being the conspiracy theorist I was, you start looking into this Christmas pagan and all these sorts of things.
Yep.
And at the same time too, I was looking at Polynesian history. Do you know what I mean? Because
Right.
being colonialized and whatnot, so you don't really know too much. But
Right.
I stumbled across a video. I seen a African American guy with the turban,
Right.
Jeremiah 10, the Christmas tree in the Bible sort of thing. I can't remember exactly
Right.
and I was like, look, I was into all sorts, and at that time too, I was dealing with addiction problems and things like that. So
Okay.
I clicked on it, and then I was just blown away because I've never heard the Bible being taught like that before, and I was very ignorant, you know what I mean? So I had I didn't have a Bible. I had my laptop out, and
Yeah.
he was reading from it. I had a cigarette in my mouth, and I'm like, wow, wow, what's
Yeah.
going on? What's going
Oh
on here?
man. Okay. Yeah.
Blown away, So then I started watching more and more of their videos, and then obviously they started talking about the Israelites and the conspiracy that they hidden the identity of these people, and using scriptures out of context,
Right.
and applying it to social issues today,
Mm-hmm.
and then saying these are the people, so on and so forth. And yeah, like, for me at that time, it was like, wow, this is all coming together.
Right. Exactly.
Did you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's like I said in that documentary I did, that's where the cults they prey on these types of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, they'll start to indoctrinate you. Use your vulnerability.
Yeah, like turn your emotions almost like,
Exactly.
yeah, because I know that here I'm in Atlanta, and GMS is pretty big. So I think maybe this weekend, because it's starting to warm up here. And well, actually, no, because of the coronavirus thing, they might not do it until after the coronavirus thing is over. But around this time this is when they come out of hibernation, and they're just all the way in Midtown and downtown Atlanta,
Mhm.
and they're just out there, in the purple and gold and all of that. And a lot of the guys that they target, or a lot of people that they target, are the ones who are fatherless, those who are living in less developed conditions. So it's like those are majority of the people that always end up joining. And these are guys who they don't really have any father figures, and the people and the guys that they may be around, may not be as outspoken, or may not be as bold as those people. So uh,
Mhm.
so
Almost sounds like a gang. Almost
yeah,
sounds
it
like
is.
kind of gangs.
Yep, exactly,
Yeah.
man. And it's like it's just it's mind blowing. But as you were talking, and you was talking about kind of being like kind of first dabbling with the conspiracy theorist thing. That's kind of how I was, because I remember growing up as a child. My great grandmother, she would take us to church on Sundays and things of that nature. But like when she died, I was living with my mom, and my mom didn't really take us to church on Sunday. So we grew up without church in the house, and I got into the Black Conscious movement. Um, I started dabbling around in that, and then I started seeing a lot of contradictions in that. So then I started moving towards the Bible, and the first guy that I started watching was a guy on YouTube. He was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he started, really breaking down the Bible. But Seventh-day Adventists to a degree can be they can really be wrapped up in a lot of conspiracy theories.
Yep.
Like they're very anti-Catholic, very anti-Pope. They believe that the Pope is the Antichrist and things of that nature.
Sunday mark of the beast.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the Sabbath day. Things of that nature. So I started following that, and then I went through the same phase too of the whole Christmas thing and all of that. But at the time, I had heard about Hebrew, like Hebrew Israelites, but I wasn't really I didn't really understand what they believe. But it wasn't until after I started my YouTube, and when I started having these guys sending me messages, then I kind of started to understand what the whole Hebrew Israelite thing was about, because I started watching other guys talk about it and things of that nature.
Were they trying to tell you from the tribe of Judah or something?
Yeah, they were. I would do a video, no matter what the topic was. I keep talking about the things that were going on in the church. Things. I mean, I could have just made a video. I made a video, breaking down, speaking in tongues, like the biblical explanation of speaking in tongues. And a lot of these guys, they would just send me messages and stuff saying, "Hey, do you know who you are?" And what is your ethnicity? Let me tell you, they will say things like, book, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who are these guys who keep sending me this stuff? And then I started to realize that these are guys who call themselves Hebrew Israelites and stuff. And what's so funny was that one time I was in Atlanta, and I was coming back from lunch, and I bumped into this guy, right, and he handed me this pamphlet. He was a really nice guy, he wasn't hostile or anything. And he handed me this pamphlet. He was like, "Hey, man, we got this Bible study going on, and I want to see if you want to, if you got any time on a Saturday or something, you come out and check us out." And he handed me the pamphlet, and it was from the GMS camp. I had already known what it was, and I went home and I was looking them up on YouTube, and I was just like, stuff. When I came across you, I'm like, whoa, this is a man, he's in. And I'm like, how this guy?
These people are making too much noise, man. Gosh.
Go ahead.
Hey, enough.
But yeah, this is live, guys. This is what live. This is a live stream, and trust me, if I was sharing a room with my kids right now, it'd be the same. So
sorry, yeah. It's funny you mentioned GMS, because when I was, when I was convinced that because I was watching all different camps, but right. the first email I sent, because I thought they were all the same.
Right.
I sent it to GMS. And I sent
exactly. That's my daughter.
I sent an email to GMS, but they never got back to me. And they did eventually get back to me. 2 years or 3 years later, after we already established GOCC here, so it was too late.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they sent me an email. I got it here, I could show you, wanting to establish a camp here, but I was already establishing the GOCC. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Wow. Let me close the door so no one. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Timothy, all you guys, I see you guys all in the chat. How are you guys doing? So wow, that's man, that's just pretty interesting. Now, so how was there? Okay, so wait, so did you start the camp did you start your particular camp in Australia, or was there already like some people there, and then you guys just kind of got together, and then they kind of made you the leader? How did that go?
All right, so I thought I was the only person with the truth. You know what I mean? In Australia,
Yeah,
I was in that conspiracy mindset.
gotcha.
But I sent an email off to the GOCC headquarters. Um, Got in contact with the UK mob. They sent me an email of another because there was like 3 other people or something like that here in
Okay.
Australia. So you're like jumping for joy. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Okay.
So what we would do is every Friday night we would Skype each other,
Right.
and then I told them I wanted to go get baptized. So I was on my way. I went to the UK to get baptized, and I stayed there for a couple months. Got baptized, and was staying with a sister over there. Just seeing how we're supposed to be operating and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. And then when I came back, I know the brothers. There was 2 brothers up in Brisbane. They started, sharing this with their families and whatnot, and then they started. They were able to convince them about the lie.
Okay.
And then they started to have a little bit of home fellowship and whatnot. So, there was also a family in Darwin as well, but they've never really. They've just stayed on their own type of thing.
Okay.
Like no one's listening to them.
So were these more Polynesian guys, or was it kind of like a mixture, or
the 2 brothers in Brisbane? They were Fijian, so they're like Melanesian.
Gotcha. Okay. So more like what do you call it? More like the Aboriginal side of Fiji, or
Well, Fiji's interesting because like where they're located in the South Pacific, they're like there's a mixed multitude type of
okay.
Of the darker races. Did you get what I'm saying? So
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So
some people consider Fiji would be deemed though Melanesian, not Polynesian.
Gotcha.
But still,
okay. So what's the difference between Melanesian and Polynesian?
Well, if you're looking at phenotype, Polynesians are a bit lighter. Their hair is not as
coarse.
Yeah, it's not as coarse. Polynesians mainly have just curly. Some have very coarse hair. Like with Polynesians, it varies. You can have some with straight hair, some with real afros.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm actually from South Florida, in the United States, and there was a restaurant, a Polynesian restaurant that my wife and I
really
went to. Yeah, it's very good. It's very expensive because they cook the food. They actually use a brick oven to so their whole kitchen is set up to where they cook the food like Polynesian style, the way that they would actually do it, from the country. So, and the food was so good. It was good. And they have like a Polynesian show. It's called
the Luau,
the Mai Kai. It's called the Mai Kai restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, the Mai Kai. So so that's the only time that I've ever heard about anything Polynesian. So
I think on the East Coast of America, they're not too familiar with Polynesians, but on the West Coast,
correct, because you have those islands and stuff.
Yeah, like Hawaii, like a lot of Samoans and Tongans out there too. So
okay. So at this point, you've just now get into camp, or you're getting your portion of the camp organized, and do you guys immediately go out and start to go out and preach, or what do you guys like, or does it kind of take a while for you guys to get to that level?
So the Brisbane, the Brisbane part of the GOCC here in the South Pacific started to grow. Like I said, they started getting family members in and
Gotcha.
some friends. So that got the elders' interest,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah. So we decided, all right, we'll try to raise some funds to get the elders over, and we could like do some street speaking, maybe talk to some more family members, things like that. So in 2015, I think it was, end of 2015, we had a couple of the GOCC elders come down. They went to Brisbane, spoke with family members there, because, like I said, they already started fellowshipping in that.
Right.
In Melbourne, I organized like a little seminar at the Liberal Community Center, and I invited all people that I could. I even printed out flyers and
Wow.
did some promo on the local radio.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that.
So did they fund you, or did they kind of like give you money for that? Oh, it was just out of your pocket.
Out of my own pocket. Yeah. I even hired the whole everything. I did that out of my own pocket.
Wow.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. And then from that day, we had the seminar. Literally the next day, we baptized like 6 people, and the church started here in Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
So Brisbane already started to have momentum.
Okay.
But that's when things started happening down here in Melbourne.
Gotcha.
End of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's it's like I've never talked to a person who was actually a part of a camp, who had actually come out of the camp. I did talk to a lady, and she was actually the wife of a guy who was a part of the camp, and they were both, Hebrew Israelites, and she was just like giving me, like a lot of insight, like on the camps and stuff, and because she was in Tennessee, and she was just like telling me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of us, including myself, that we can be ignorant to when it comes to the Hebrew Israelite movement or the Hebrew Israelite cult. And it's like, but they basically use the same exact tactics, to kind of draw people in, it seems like. And so how did they now just looking at you and looking at me, if we was to both stand next to each other and someone was to ask, which one of us is more likely to be into the Hebrew Israelite cult, a lot of people will probably pick me because I'm darker skinned and I got the beard and stuff like that. So how did people receive you as a Polynesian man, who was claiming to be a Hebrew Israelite? Like how did the camps receive you?
Well, obviously, as you know, GRCC is the only camp like recognized, like mainstream camp, if you want to even call it that. The known camps, let's just call it one of the known camps that recognize Polynesians as Israelites.
Okay.
The other camps like GMS, GMS is different. Like they'll say Polynesians as a whole are not Israelites, but there are some Israelites in amongst them.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like even when I'll probably say, since we're more on the East Coast, it'll probably be the equivalent of Hispanic, right?
No, GMS actually believe like the Hispanics as a whole, like the indigenous are Israelites.
Oh, okay.
Like the indigenous ones, right?
Gotcha.
The indigenous Polynesians are not, but there are some Israelites in there because Israelites went into all nations. Did you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Okay, so it's just kind of like because I know that there are certain camps who will say that not all black people are Israelites and stuff like that, and then that's kind of you start kind of going down a rabbit hole and all of that stuff, because they'll say the transatlantic slave trade just didn't happened to Black Israelites, but it was these other black people who were not Israelites and things of that nature. So I mean, in a way, it can kind of get kind of confusing, trying to know who's who. So did you guys use the chart? Does GOCC use the chart?
Yeah.
I mean the chart. Okay. Yeah, because I think the lady that I was talking to, I think she may have been a part of GOCC, but it was in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Is that under like Elder Rakah?
Well, Elder Rakah is I use that term loosely, elder. He's the main guy for the whole GOCC.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, she was a part of that. So she was a part of GOCC as well, but she was in Tennessee, and she was telling me that at first they were using the 12 chart, the 12 tribes chart, and then there was an elder who came out, and I actually did the video on it, who came out and said that the chart was false. It was always made up from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then they kind of started veering away from that. And she said that at that time, the part of GOCC split. So you had a lot of people who wanted to hold to the chart, and then there you had some other people who just kind of abandoned it and said, well, this is not right, since this elder has already come out and said it was just false from the beginning. So did you guys hold to the 12 tribes chart?
We did, and then obviously not trying to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
That was one of the reasons why the split happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it did affect you guys as well.
Yeah, well, when 99.9% of what you teach is false, well, and if somebody's sincere about the truth, the biblical truth, it's gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Happen. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Because like I said, I know when I talked to her, she says that GOCC over here had basically split. It was a very big thing, and I wouldn't have, it's just
which one was that? Tennessee?
Huh?
Tennessee, was it?
Yeah, she was in Tennessee. And she was in Tennessee when that happened, and she was just like, because I guess when a split happened, their church got affected, and there was a lot of tension, and there was a lot of inner fighting between like the sect that she was a part of, and I guess not Elder Rakah, but it was another guy, I think like his right hand man. I can't remember this guy's name, but he came down. And, he had to try to straighten everything out and stuff like that. So she said it got pretty messy, after that information came out about the chart.
Yeah, same thing happened here. Same thing here. It was very,
really
very messy. It's
wow.
Bad. And the thing is, GOCC the elders will never take responsibility for any of it. They never will.
Wow.
They never will.
So what do they do?
They'll just continue to spew lies. That's just what they do. That's what they do.
Wow, that's just
that. Like for instance, that's what happens when you have a the eldership. There's only one elder. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
There's only one head elder. Like say for instance, in the Presbyterian denomination, you have a group of elders.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas
exactly
in GOCC, it's just him.
So he's almost like so he's kind of almost like a figure like the Pope or something.
He's like I'd say he's more like the Herbert Armstrong.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? For those who don't know who Herbert Armstrong is,
is that
Worldwide Church of God?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Like no word of a lie. The Worldwide Church of God, and it's like if you ever watch that documentary Called to Be Free, their story is exactly the same as ours. Obviously, theirs is bigger. The Worldwide Church of God, that was a massive story. But that you had the white, that was the white version. Ours was like the black and brown version.
Oh, okay.
Wow, you know what I mean? You've heard of that with Herbert Armstrong?
I've heard of him. I've heard people kind of like mention his name in passing, but
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna say you said that was the Worldwide Church of God.
Worldwide Church of God. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. Because I love documentaries.
The church is called Culture. This was our massive. Like we're talking about not just doctrine, but we're talking about millions of dollars. Like
Right.
they were just willing to turn it up. Like they were, and thousands of members, like hundreds of, like they had over 160,000 members. But
Wow.
because they were like, this is a lie. It's a great documentary. It's called Call to Be Free. It's on our channel. We put it up.
Okay. Okay. Good. I'll just go straight to your channel and I'll check that out. Wow.
That was very good. It was good.
Wow.
Good
So
documentary.
what would you say? So basically, how long were you the head of your particular sect in Australia?
What happened is in Brisbane, like we started to get a lot of momentum here in Melbourne.
Okay.
And the brother who was in charge of Brisbane, his brother Samu, he could see things that was wrong with the leadership and the eldership that we're under. I was naive at the time, but I've never been part of like a church movement where like I was raised in the church, but by the time I was old enough, I was like, I'm out of here. But being involved and willing, I was like, whatever the elder says, we'll just do. Right. I was of that mindset. Whereas he started, him being, a little bit more versed in the Bible than I was at that time. He was starting to see the case. So, he ended up leaving, and then the whole Brisbane thing just fell apart. And while here in Melbourne, we were just getting bigger, momentum, was growing, and then eventually, it was three of us put in charge, but then when that all went down, then I was the guy who was the head for the GRCC South Pacific, in this region.
Wow! And how long did you hold that title?
Till end of 2009. Beginning of 2019. Yeah, or end of that, something like that.
Okay. So roughly like a year or so, you were like the head guy, or
for a year I was I was the head for like 3 years.
3 years. Okay. Wow. And you said it was for the South Pacific.
Yeah, GOCC South Pacific. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I would if I had to deal. We had a camp in New Zealand. We had a camp.
Wow, all the way in New Zealand. Wow.
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally. So
yeah. Wow. I just, it's crazy because it's like over here in America, like we're like really ignorant. Like it's just like it's almost as if if something is not affecting us as Americans, it's almost like we're basically ignorant to it, to where like my wife, she's getting ready to go to South Africa in a few months, and this will be her first time actually like really going into another part of the world, crossing multiple time zones, things of that nature. So she's going to be over there, and because my wife, she's a doula, she's like a birthing coach, and she helps pregnant women, educates them about natural births and things of that nature. So anyway, it just seemed like that a few women who follow her page, on Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, it just seemed like it just caught It just caught like wildfire. And I mean, it just seemed like so many South African women were just so interested in what she was doing. And, my wife and I mean, we know where South Africa is. And actually, I was talking to my wife. It was kind of funny. She's probably gonna think this is too funny if I share this with you. But she was just like, "Oh, okay. So, so what country in South Africa? She was like, I wonder what country in South Africa, do these people live?" And I'm just like, "No, that is the country. South Africa is the country." And she was just like, "Oh," she thought, she actually thought that the lady was from a part of South Africa.
Which is which is fair as well.
Exactly.
They have that term as well.
Yeah, so exactly. So, it's just kind of like an example of how sometimes, us as Americans, we can kind of be ignorant to like what's going on. And it's like it's mind-blowing for me to hear that there's a camp in like New Zealand and Australia, because I know for a couple of years now, I know that they've kind of been um kind of sparking up in Africa and even parts of the UK where they've kind of started to have an influence there. But I would have never thought that this would be something that would be taking place, in Australia or even in New Zealand for that matter. So I mean that is just that is just some information that is just new to my ears. And they're basically just targeting people who are Polynesian or Pacific Islander. So these are majority of the people that they're targeting.
They'll target anyone who'll fall for it. Let's be honest.
Really,
that's how the cults work,
Gotcha, exactly.
But that obviously their main audience is Polynesian, Aborigines.
Gotcha.
So
how do they incorporate Bible verses such as like Deuteronomy 28:68? Because like they'll throw that at me like all day because I'm a Black American, so they'll basically say Deuteronomy 28:68, your people went into slavery, and this is how we know that you are God's people based on that verse. So what verses do they use in particular to basically kind of prove that you guys are part of this truth as they call it?
Like a nation from far will come and overtake thee, and you'll be in want for all things. And
gotcha.
And all that, and then they'll the fringes. This is a funny one. They'll say the grass skirts. Those are the fringes, the grass skirts.
Oh wow!
And the fringes. Yet the grass skirts are the fringes. Yet you're worshiping a wooden idol. Isn't that what the fringes were supposed to remind you? Right. Not to worship the idol.
Exactly.
So I don't. It's very, very just reaching. It's unbelievable.
That is the first that I've ever heard of that. Like,
it gets better.
Oh man. Wow. Because when I heard your testimony and I said, okay, so I wonder how did GOCC pull this off by pulling in someone who's Polynesian, when of course your people from people who are Polynesian, their history is totally different from the Black American here, in America. So it's just like, that's why it's just mind-boggling to me of how they even was able to get into or influence other cultures, around the world, which didn't even derive from American culture. It's just so I guess they kind of just have sort of a different approach to you guys.
Well, as you know, without a conspiracy theory, this doctrine has no legs. Do you know what I mean? Because then you'll have, and as you know, like especially just dealing with the Hebrew Israelites these days, the same way they read the Bible, right? Here a little, there a little.
Yeah,
they do that with history books.
Oh, so they Frankenstein everything together.
They absolutely everything,
Wow.
So they like to read a source, right? To say, for instance, I was dealing with the Passover, whether the early church kept it or not. And of course, there were some churches in Asia Minor that kept the memorial of the Passover on the 14th day of Nisan.
But they use that.
But in the same source they're trying to use, if you keep reading, it tells you that there were other Christians that didn't follow that.
Right.
But they were still all good. Some Christians obviously wanted to cast them off, but then you had some they knew this wasn't a salvation issue. But as you know, the Black Hebrew Israelites like to push that you need to keep Passover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Things like that. But that's not what the early church taught.
Right. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember exactly where in the Bible. I'm just kind of drawing a blank. um, where the Bible says, let no one disqualify you,
Colossians.
regarding food.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking too. I was
yeah,
thinking about
yeah,
Colossians, but I
yeah,
almost said First Corinthians.
yeah.
But wow, I just that like. So I'm wondering, how does a person, a black person from America, unless they just like really have done their studies and stuff, about people from the Pacific Islands and things of that nature, or maybe just growing up, around these people, like how would they be able to influence those, who are in other countries by. It seems like there would have to be a lot of work to go into that.
Yeah. Well, firstly, like for instance, you have the rap culture. The culture, like the,
Okay, yeah.
the reality is the Polynesians say, New Zealand, those are the guys usually in the ghettos. Those are the guys usually
Yes.
in the
Okay.
gangs and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So you see a culture, United States, American culture that's around the world,
Right.
right? And then you see a race of people, the blacks in America,
Okay.
they're the ones in that same position.
Yes.
They're not.
They can all relate.
Do you know what I mean? So when they see the
Yeah.
rap and all that, so that's you have the influence. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that influence carries on for instance, this Hebrew Israelite movement. Do
Right.
you get what I'm saying? So
Exactly. No. I
yeah,
totally understand. Yeah. So it's
yeah,
almost like they kind of use the um the things that they can relate to, being, I guess, if you want to say words that they would probably use, something like a second class citizen,
yeah,
or not really being from that specific uh that specific country or area, or it'll be something like, well, the white man came and they took over, and now
yeah,
they're running your land and things of that nature. Okay, so they try to relate to them on a level such as, okay, well, yeah, we're basically in the same boat over here in America. Black people have the highest poverty rate, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, and plus, I mean, rap music is a huge influence,
yeah.
across the world. I think it's in just about every country.
Mm-hmm.
I even seen Russian rappers out there, man, and it tripped me out when I saw it maybe about 5-6 years ago. There was a Russian guy, man. He was rapping. He was rapping in Russian, and I was just like, this is wild.
Yeah.
And so I guess so. If you kind of take that approach, and you kind of introduce Hebrew Israelism to people who've already been exposed to what is going on over here in America, with the black people and things of that nature. And if you make it relatable, then it's a little bit easier to kind of draw people in. So,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Now I know that there are some camps who do have some people who are white, or people. Yeah, I know I've seen a couple of camps, who have some white people in it. Did your particular sect have anybody who was white, or anybody who was like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, really?
yeah. We had a mixed multitude.
So,
Yeah.
so, so how did these guys end up in? How did they end up joining the movement?
Well, we had these South African people coming, but
Yeah.
they were not concerned with they could chew the meat and spit on the bone. So they were just coming in
Okay.
because of the lessons I was teaching on
Right.
on on the Saturday.
Right.
Uh, but yeah,
So it's almost like they just wanted to be a part of something.
I could
Almost.
show you. I could show you an email. Like a lady emailed me about coming to church, and I don't know if she emailed me or we spoke on the phone. I can't, but she asked me, "Is there any white people in the church?" Do,
Wow.
do you know what I mean? Why is that a question? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
these are the things. Like, I always, when I started to become more sober minded
Yeah.
and um, just running the church, but then obviously you're doing your own studies and things like that, you start to see problems,
Right.
like, if a white person comes to church, like we had a white guy, I want to say his name. This guy was from Siberia, but he would he got called white once, and he took offense because
Really?
I could be. There were Negroes in Siberia, and I'm like, Siberia is like, if you want to find some of the whitest people on earth,
Yeah.
they're in Siberia, but they would deny their race or
Yeah.
what they were, just on the possibility that they could be a Jew. But I don't know. I don't think they've read the New Testament.
Right.
Because,
Exactly.
it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Especially Colossians 3:11. It's just wow. So okay. All right. So you got everything. Going in Brisbane, everything is just, you guys are starting to build, people are starting to, follow you guys. You guys are growing. What made you get to the point to where you were just like, wait, hold on, something's not right about this. I need to get out of this as soon as possible.
Man, I started to see holes in the doctrine.
Okay.
The Revelations 1:14, and when I started to see the holes, I just stopped. I wouldn't use those breakdowns anymore, right?
Oh, okay.
And then someone would ask me a question, like in the congregation, is this, and I'll be like, look, I don't use that because I don't agree. I don't agree with what that says, and then I did like, for instance, when it came to like discrepancies or faulty doctrines, I did like bring issues up amongst the eldership about certain things, which they just, because they acted like they built this thing down here. You know what I mean? They spent money. They spent no money, and it was only due to the efforts of the groundwork that we're doing.
Gotcha.
That
they wanted to control it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's
almost like a franchise, like
exactly.
you put up so much money, a lot of your own money, and but you can only sell their products and do things exactly the way that they're telling you to do. Yeah. And then you got to give them a cut of that. So wow.
Well, wow. It's fun. No one heard of GOCC here, and it's funny how they tried to say they try to say that I use the church to try build up some clout. I'm like, are you kidding me? If I was gonna, if that was my intention, don't you think I would use like Hillsong or something?
Right.
Or,
exactly.
Something
right, more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one heard of this.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And just the narcissism that just goes on there, especially amongst the leadership.
Right.
It's just.
I heard about that. Yeah, because even a lady that I talked to, who I had on my live stream, who was a part of GOCC in Tennessee, and because I had heard some, I had heard Elder Rakas speak, and I told her, I said, one of the things that I do notice is that, Elder Rakas doesn't really use like too many curse words. He's not as extreme. He's not as extreme as, or he doesn't seem as extreme as, like GMS or something like that. And I was just like, I thought that, GOCC was kind of like very moderate, in their practices, things of that nature. But she was just like, all of them are just the same. She was just like, and she said all of them are just the same. She was just like, even when they got, like even behind closed doors, like when they went to Shabbat and things of that nature, it was just basically the same old model. It was about teaching the precepts. It was never about having joy in the Lord or basically teaching God's word. It was more about how to combat Christians. How to just basically how to hear what a Christian say. Or anyone who try to challenge the faith always try to find a way to have a counter attack or something
Yeah.
like that. You know,
it's funny because it's like they don't like us talking about them, but all they ever want to do is talk about Christians.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all they ever want to do. Yeah.
Exactly, and I get that a lot too. And it's just like you know, because now you know, and I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar with like the moderates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, like the moderates, you know, they claim that we're brothers and sisters, but you know, but they turn around and then they'll attack and they'll slander us. And it's just like, you know, a house divided against itself cannot stand. So of course there is, you know, somewhat of a division. Now, have you gotten a lot of backlash since you've left GOCC?
Yeah, man. I get plenty.
Really?
But it's but at the same time too, I've been getting plenty of love, plenty of support
Gotcha.
from the greater Christian community.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's for me. That's that holds more weight. You know.
Right. Exactly.
And the main thing is like as we're now. I understand the truth of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
You know, and that's more important than anything. You know, it's more freeing than anything. You know,
it is. Yep, it is. And I mean, I totally agree with you on that, man.
But plenty of backlash, plenty of name calling, and plenty of lies.
Right.
Being spoke about me. It's part and parcel. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, any other cult. You know, like you leave and, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, I mean, even some cults, you know, they'll label you as a marked man and stuff like that. So have you guys ever encountered like any Christians, you know, kind of like engaging you guys while you guys were out and you know preaching and things like that?
Yeah, I would preach. I would go stand out the front of Christian events and just ridicule.
Really?
Yeah. I man, I remember I used to be at the front of certain there used to be. Have you heard of Planet Shakers? They would hold a big.
I don't think so.
They would hold a big convention with thousands of people, and we'll be at the front, and I'll be like, challenging people for money. I'll give you $200. Show me where we're supposed to celebrate Easter in the Bible and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Wow.
I'll do it. If you like, you know, like I said, the video, I don't know, I can post it up in the chat or something later on.
Yeah,
you know, you'll see videos of me.
No, I saw. Yeah, it looked like that you were at some gatherings or something, and I said, I wonder, are these like Christian gatherings or these are just kind of like
some of them were, some of them weren't.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were just out there, you know, going hard. Maureen Herndon, she says, what does GOCC stand for?
Gathering of Christ Church, quote unquote.
Okay. Yeah. So when you decided to leave, like, did you reach out to someone and say, hey, you know, I don't want to be a part of this anymore? Or were you just kind of like, well, you know, you just walked away and just never looked back?
Man, it was tough because, you know, I had a lot of family members inside the church.
Oh, okay. And some of these people that you brought in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like I can't just leave.
Yeah.
You know, my father was like, he was secretary. He was like the second guy in charge of me.
Oh man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, what am I supposed to just tell him? That's here.
Right.
I'm gonna come back to church. He's gonna be like, why?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. By the way, Dad, everything we've been learning is a lie. All right.
Right. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see how that, man, that'll just like really raise a lot of tension. So is he still a part of that, or is he out?
No, he's out of that.
Okay.
If you want to see a narcissistic at work, just type in GOCC South Pacific conference call, and you hear a 6-hour drilling of Rakar or Richard at his finest, just being at his narcissistic best. Man. 6 hours. He grilled me for 6 hours. I spoke on that call for 2 minutes. Not even.
Wow. And he just kept going back and forth. Kind of like what they do. Yeah, kind of like what they do now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you start talking to them and they just go from, you know, one thing to the next. And it's almost like you can't even get a breath in, you know?
Yeah. It's funny. They will, like, they will never deal with they'll have their issue is that you got a problem with the doctrine. Why didn't you say anything? Well, I said certain things. You never listen.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Wow.
I was like, you know what? These guys never put in all the hours down here. They never invested no money.
Right.
And the opportunity came about where I never said anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody would ask me a question, I'd always tell the truth. Like one time someone said, because we're not allowed to say Jesus in that church. You can't say Jesus. You have to say Yeshaya.
Oh wow, yeah, because I know that there are some camps, but why do they say Christ though? I mean, so it's okay to say Christ, but not
pick
Jesus.
And choose. They pick and choose. You know how these guys are. They pick and choose. Like the they say you need to keep the laws of Moses, but they'll pick and choose which ones. You know,
right? So,
but
so do they hold to the whole letter J thing? Is that the reason why?
Yeah.
Okay, so since, but do they like say like Jerusalem and
say the Jews.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's as you know, it's inconsistent.
Yeah, it really is. Wow. So tell us about what your ministry is doing now. What do you guys do now?
Well, we had the big split and we didn't know what to do. We did join another group, but we moved away from that as well because they still held on to some of the cult beliefs.
Stuff.
Yeah. Non-essential beliefs for the gospel.
Gotcha.
But it was a messed up situation. I didn't know how to handle it, whatnot. But these days we're a small group called Faith and Grace Ministries, and we just follow Orthodox, Christian orthodoxy. That's
right.
No, wow. The Sabbath's not relevant. Like, is not relevant to our salvation. So, we don't talk about you have to keep it.
Keep the Sabbath and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, the dietary laws and all those things. They're now, it's just faith and grace alone in Christ, and loving your neighbor as yourself.
Gotcha, and that's what you guys are doing now.
That's what we're doing now.
Okay, wow, man. So do you guys have like like an active meeting place?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That's great, man. And I just it's just great to see when the Lord brings us, a lot of us just poor, wretched, broken sinners. He just brings us out and just brings us, and just keeps us for himself, for his glory, man. And it's just, it's just so much to rejoice about, man. And I'm trying to find this video. A lady asked about, maybe you could probably answer this, but I'm going to send her a link to a video, a live stream that I did with the lady who was actually in the Hebrew Israelite cult, GOCC in Tennessee. She asked, I don't know if you can see the question, but she said, "Did you see families break up because of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine?"
Yes, there was some even my own we weren't really together like that, but even I had close family members, stabbed me in the back.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
But it's all good. It's like
exactly.
It is what it is. People do things for whatever they do.
Christ said we'll be. Yeah, Christ said we'll be hated for his name.
I've confessed my faults and I know why I'm doing things these days, and it's I've got a clear conscience end of the day. So
all for the glory of God. Man, that is just it's just so great. I know we've been on about an hour, and it's getting kind of late over here where I am.
Yeah. That's all right.
So is there anything else that you would like to that you would like to add before we get ready to close out here?
I just thank you for having me on, and I'm not giving a biased view. For people that know me, right. when I was part of that, when I joined that camp, I didn't think I was ever going to leave. That was in my head. That was a lifetime commitment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was a lifetime commitment to an organization.
Right. Exactly.
And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I appreciate you having me on here, and the reality is you're gonna have people who claim that they're following Christ, but really they're just trying to find
An identity or
something.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're trying to find a doctrine that suits them. When it's funny
Right.
because the gospel is so simple.
It is.
Why can't people follow it?
And it's crazy because it's like, I like my family and I, we do devotion, every morning, and we just start from Genesis, and we're working our way, from Genesis to Revelation, and we just see, man's selfishness. Man has to it's almost like man has to put himself equal to God in some sense,
Yeah.
and I mean, this has been a problem since the garden. Adam and Eve, they didn't eat from the tree of life because they were hungry. They wanted to be equal to God because, when the serpent came to Eve and he said, how come you're not eating from that tree? And, her response was because God told us not to. And then he says, well, no, she said, God told us not to. He said that we would die. And then the serpent says, no, you won't die. You'll become like God, knowing good and evil. So it was that desire to become like God is what kind of swayed them, and it's just like, that's just like with every cult, every, false religion, false doctrine, it's always equating ourselves, to God. And that's just what I've been, that's what I've been figuring out. And it's just the nature of man, and this is why Jesus tells us that we have to be born again, so we can be able to die to that nature and be born, be born again, and to be righteous, in front of God, man. And it's just, and just like I said earlier, God has called all of us, all of us who believe in Christ. He's hand selected and he's hand picked us, no matter what sins, wretchedness, we've been a part of, man. Like he's come and just hand selected us and picked us for his glory, man. And I'm just like, just so humble. I'm just reading some of these things. Some of these people are saying certain things in the chat. This one guy, he says, as a Christian leader and minister, what bothers me more is the deceiving of people looking for the truth. Yeah, and I mean, and that's just like you said earlier. When you were out searching for the truth, you run into these guys from these camps and stuff.
There's some genuine people.
Yeah.
Because my situation, for instance, I wasn't in the church. My
Exactly.
concern,
Yeah.
my concern is because a lot of people that came into the camp, right? They were in a church. They were in a church that taught the gospel, right?
And they left.
You know what I mean? And you know what I come to find out, these people left because they have evil in their heart.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Not all of them. Some of them, they come out because they've been deceived. But thank God they got the truth again. Now they're back. They're back to where they were. Thank God.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
A little bit of egg on the face, but it's better to humble yourself. Say, hey, I was wrong. Yeah. And whatever church you were part of before or whatnot, they'll forgive you if they're in the right spirit.
Exactly.
But these ones that come out of these churches, because I've asked these questions, I've been asked a question one time by the Hebrew Israelite. They're like, oh, the churches aren't teaching the truth. And then I'm like, all right, what truth are they not teaching?
Right.
And then they're like, Matthew 15, the lost sheep. And I'm like, that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so who the Israelites are, that's the truth that they're talking about. So, what I've seen, and this is another thing that witness just being in leadership or whatnot, and just dealing with people. A lot of people that go into these cults, whether it be Hebrew Israelites or Hebrew Roots, Jehovah Witness, Mormons, whatever. It's like this one sacred name groups. It's this one-upmanship over their brother and sister in Christ.
Yeah.
They want, he doesn't know God's name. I know God's name. Or do you know what I mean? It's this one-upmanship. And I'm like, we got to humble us. I think it's in Corinthians. It tells us to lower ourselves to the men of low estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to be high-minded, but
Exactly.
instead Christians are the most. Sometimes we can be the most high-minded and proud people you've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
When the reality is, and I remember Tim. I think his name is Tim Stella. He's a Presbyterian minister.
Okay.
He said he did a thing on grace, and it was like grace. Like we cannot, as Christians, we cannot boast. We cannot look our noses down at people because how did we receive salvation?
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Yep.
to receive salvation, you have to admit to God that I am a wretched man, that I am not worthy, that I am the lowest of the low.
Exactly. Yep.
So where are we getting this? How are we becoming prideful?
Right.
Sorry.
Exactly.
This is not what we're meant to be doing. So I've seen that a lot amongst Christians. I keep Sabbath on Thursday.
Yeah.
And all this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of these, especially a lot of these charismatic churches, people do kind of, brag and boast amongst each other and all of this stuff here. And it's just, and sometimes, quite frankly, you get people who because I've been to a lot of these charismatic churches, and after a while you kind of get sick of it, and then you leave, and then it's just like sometimes within that grace period of you trying to get out of that model of church, and you're seeking like truth, and you want somebody to tell you or answer your questions straight up. You may run into some of these people from these cults, and they can just really suck you in. It's just that quick, just that easy.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just
one trap to another.
Especially like now that we have the internet, and it's just so easy for us to find anyone who's going to tell us exactly what we want to hear.
That's true.
If I want to hear that I'm special because of the color of my skin, but I don't want to give up God, I don't want to give up Christ, I still want to read the Bible. Hebrew Israelism, if I don't want to be a part of any religion, there's a lot of black atheists out there. There's the conscious community. There's, you just got so much stuff out there that you can just get into. And, just nowadays, the Lord, we just really see the work of the Lord and how he is keeping his people, and how he is faithful to his people, and Amen. I just want to let everybody know, when we have talks like this is not to bash, Hebrew Israelites or any other people, who are a part of these cults. Like, we're just out here trying to get the truth out, and we're trying to, give you guys some insight to the thinking of some people, who we may know. There may be some people out there who may be a part of these things, and we may not know how to, approach them or how to evangelize properly. So it's just, everyone who's watching, I want you guys to keep that in mind. And this is why I do, like dialogues. I try to dialogue with, I do dialogue with Hebrew Israelites. And, and I love when I'm dialoguing with ex-Hebrew Israelite members, because, guys like you, Brother George, you guys, can give us some insight, can let us know exactly what the thinking is of people who are there, because it helps it helps us to be able to evangelize more effectively.
Absolutely. We need more. One thing we need more of is apologists. We need more Christian apologists out there, because especially dealing with this demographic of people, because it's not enough to see African American apologists come out. This is because remember they targeting youth. You got
exactly.
They, as you know, con men, they don't go to the smart people or the learned people. That's why they love calling apologists devils and Satans. You should hear Ricard go on about the satanic apologists.
You're
just mad because he has
no response.
You're debunked. You've been debunked.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, man. And
you're a bunch of Gentiles trying to claim like this false thing. It's sad.
Exactly. It's just like even the with the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Islam has the same thing. You got a bunch of black people who just say, and actually I think the guy who started the Nation of Islam, I think he was from New Zealand, W. Fard Muhammad, and he started, he was from New Zealand, and he started the Nation of Islam. And now it's just a bunch of black people saying that they are the original people,
That's
of
crazy.
Allah. It's just remixed.
And then Muhammad was like an Arab,
Right, exactly.
and who started it, and
Right.
He bragged about how white he was in his hadiths. So
Exactly. And they say that no, Muhammad was black, and the Arabs that are over there now, these are people, these are the imposters. Everybody is the imposter. The Jews over in Jerusalem or in Israel, those are the imposters. Everyone just
yeah,
so
everyone's an imposter.
Right,
Everyone.
exactly.
But if you're a white guy that's down with us, hey, you could be a black dude.
Exactly.
Just somewhere down the line.
Well, it's just like Mormonism, right? Mormons teach that black people are a curse from God,
Yeah.
And if you become a Mormon and you start to really follow the Mormon teachings, that your skin will eventually get lighter and your eyes will get lighter and your hair eventually becomes blonde. And I've heard Mormons actually say that, but of course they don't really teach those teachings nowadays. I saw a guy, he was talking to some Christians on YouTube, and this guy was a Mormon guy, and and there was this guy. It was a couple of, I think these guys were, I think a couple of the guys were Middle Eastern, and one or Indian, and they was just basically asking them, and they said, well, hey, listen, like we're kind of dark, so if I became a Mormon, like what my skin, become lighter and my hair and my eyes and stuff like that. And the guy says, yeah. And he says, do you guys have any black people that are basically, like a part of your church? And the guy, he was like, he said, yes. He says, yeah, we got some black people. And he said, now, are their skin, is getting lighter? Are they becoming lighter? And the guy said, yes. He says their skin is becoming lighter. And now,
oh my goodness.
And I mean, he just left everyone speechless, because it was just like we just couldn't they just couldn't believe that this man was actually making these claims. But it's just that cult mentality. It's just like you'll say anything, do anything in order to shut up your opponent. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I've been there. I've been there. I wouldn't directly lie, but you have what you would call, you have tactics.
Yeah, exactly.
Tactics. But Alton, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you having me on. I know it's getting late.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you as well. Man, thank you for coming on. I hope to have you back on sometime.
Yeah, for
hopefully
sure.
we can all get together, man, and just have a really nice dialogue. I don't know, I might try to set something up like that.
Yeah,
so
that'd be great.
All have a dialogue, man, and and we'll just talk, man, and just chop it up.
Yeah. Hey.
All right. This is Brother George's. Oh, and tell the people where they can find you. On YouTube.
Faith and Grace Ministries. That's our church.
Okay.
And we're a non-denominational church, and we work with anybody that's down with the truth of Jesus Christ, and Christian Orthodoxy. That's how we roll.
So you guys check that out, Faith and Grace Ministries. Yep. Thank you guys for joining. And, like I always say, you guys could have been anywhere else, but thank you guys for watching my channel tonight. I'll try to keep more content like this coming. If you're new to the channel, like, rate, share, comment, subscribe, and you guys have a blessed day. All right.